Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine, you are Captain Titus, a Space Marine who uses a vast arsenal of weapons to take out both orcs and the forces of chaos. The player begins the game with a knife or a melee weapon. However, as they progress through the campaign, they gain access to progressively more powerful weapons, such as the chainsword, power axe, and eventually the devastating thunderhammer. This later weapon is capable of inflicting enormous amounts of damage, especially when using strikes chained together in a combo. While Space Marines excel in melee combat, they also have several different types of ranged weapons. Starting with a bolt pistol, the player eventually gets a bolter, as well as more powerful weapons such as the Stalker Bolter, Melter Gun, Las Cannon, Storm Bolter, and the Plasma Gun. Each has its own uses and unique strengths. Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine introduces a new weapon to the universe, the Vengeance Launcher. Crafted on Forge World Graia, this weapon launches charges that stick to floors, walls, and even your enemies. With the ability to detonate these charges remotely, this weapon provides entirely new tactics to use against your enemies. One of the main enemies of the Imperium of Man are the orcs. These vile creatures live for war and destruction. In fact, they grow larger and stronger as they fight and defeat enemies, and even each other.
The orcs are really one of the signature alien races in the 40k universe, and the game captures their flavour and the spirit and the character of the orcs really well. I'm really excited to go toe-to-toe with the big orc warlords, because that's just the coolest part of the orc ID. Those monstrous foes are really scary when you go up against them, and it's actually quite a sanguine experience to get like knocked on your butt by one of them, but equally it's quite fun to actually be able to take one down.
The Orc hordes always outnumber the Space Marines and make up for their inferior technology with sheer numbers. There are several types of orcs in the game. The Savage Orcs are a race of brutal aliens that conquer and destroy entire worlds for no reason beyond a desire to fight. While trying to stop the Orc invasion of Graia, forces of chaos enter the world from the warp. Now the player must fight new types of enemies, which include Chaos Space Marines, Renegades, Psychers, and even Bloodletter Demons.
The other bad guys featured in Space Marine are of course Chaos, and Chaos really are like the #1 nemesis of the Space Marines. Actually, former comrades in arms that have gone bad, there's bitter blood between the Space Marine and the Chaos Space Marine. And actually, as a Space Marine player, you kind of really want to test your mettle against those guys. In fact, taking down the Chaos Warlord is probably the biggest kick in the entire game.
The player must modify their tactics to take on these new enemies. Some of these enemies are more powerful than others and require different tactics or attacks to defeat them. The next video in this series discusses the eternal war of the Imperium of Man. We will look at the characters the player will interact with, such as Lieutenant Mira of the Imperial Guard and Inquisitor Drogon of the Inquisition.
Get free shipping when you pre-order the exclusive collector's edition through THQ.com. US and Canadian customers only. Restrictions apply.
Rated M for mature.